Major breaking news. The world is experiencing a revolution. Recently, there was a massive protest in Madagascar, whereby the Gen Z of Madagascar want their president Rajolina to step down. This particular president went ahead and even dissolved the government, and that was not even enough of what the Gen Z wanted. The Gen Z of Madagascar want this particular president to step down. They've actually been battling of the shortage of water, electricity, and government chronic failure. They want this particular president to step down. And according to reports, more than 22 people were unalived in this particular protest and more than 100 of people injured. Let me tell you, the people in Madagascar has actually been suffering for the longest time, facing huge frustration with deteriorating living condition and economic hardship. And let me tell you, the security forces were even enforced to a curfew using tear gas and rubber bullets to disappear the crowds, whereby looting of shops were actually there, banks and politicians' home were even being actually looted. According to reports, Rajolina went ahead and even apologized for the government failure and plead to support the affected businesses.
Madagascar Gen Z are saying Kenya is the source of inspiration for their protests. The Gen Zs are saying that they don't want the shortage of electricity and water, and they have been encouraged by Gen Zs from Peru, from Nepal, and from Kenyans. Looks like the Gen Zs nowadays are taking over the nation. Kudos to the Gen Zs in every country that are trying to take over what belongs to them.
At least 5 people have been killed in the last week in Madagascar after protests erupt over water and electricity. Civilians have been extremely peaceful, and the government and state has responded with extreme violence, and there are reports that they believe they're hiring, of course, people to act as violent protesters. Entire neighborhoods, including schools, hospitals, workplaces, are going dark without electricity for up to 12 hours at a time, and the tap is running dry with no water for days at a time. The protests are simply just asking for water and electricity because those are basic needs. Instead of addressing these, the government has, of course, chosen repression, and authorities have outright banned protesting in general. They're tear gassing and using rubber bullets, and there's a strict curfew from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. Demonstrations have now become extremely escalated, and there's been burning buildings, signs. It represents a lot of what Nepal looked like. This all represents the decades of mismanagement and corruption that have left the Malagasy people without basic needs and dignity. This is something that is not in the headlines anywhere, and I know most people haven't heard about this. It's something that we need to talk about more.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Of course, this is Clenflix, and I hope you are doing super fine and great whenever you are watching this episode from. Now, Africa is rising. Revolution is coming to Africa. When Sarafina sang freedom is coming tomorrow, we thought that tomorrow was going to take a lot of time, but unfortunately, tomorrow is finally here. Africa revolution is going country by country by country by country. It began with Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Kenya. Now Madagascar have joined the move. There have been a very huge, massive protest in Madagascar recently. The people of Madagascar are complaining that their president is like Mr. Kasongo of Kenya, just promising them things but doesn't do anything for them. For 16 good years in power, that man has not even found the courage to resolve the water shortage crisis in Madagascar and the electricity crisis in Madagascar. I know very well, water and electricity are the basic needs that the people needs to survive, not to mention corruption and all the other things that the government that he has officially dissolved were doing to the people of Madagascar. The Madagascan Gen Zs have said, no, enough is enough. We are totally fed up with your government. We want you to dissolve this government. We want a new government and a new regime. And finally, we want you, President Rogelina, to resign. We want another new president, because for 16 good years, we've given you the power all the power vested in you to change and at least find a solution to all the problems the people of Madagascar are facing, but you have failed. So we are very sorry, but we need to send you home. That is the people of Madagascar. And they are saying that this protest is an inspiration that they received from the Gen Zs of Nepal, Peru, the Gen Zs of Bangladesh, than the Gen Zs of Kenya. Let's watch these videos together, guys, of which the Madagascar people will be telling us more what has been happening in Madagascar. Let's see their reaction, and then I'll be giving my commentaries at the end of this video. In the meantime, if you are new here, subscribe. Let's watch together, guys.
We have some huge news coming in, and the spirit of a revolution has touched Madagascar. Listen to this exclusive story. The youths of Madagascar earlier on were leading a protest against electricity and water shortages that have been there since independence. Since the time they got independence. And the youths of today in Madagascar said, no, it will not happen again. They went to the streets to protest. And when the president, Andry Rajoelina, saw that the protests were too much and 22 people died, he had to dissolve parliament. The president dissolved parliament. After he dissolved the parliament, he thought that it was over. The youths of Madagascar told Andry Rajoelina that he is part of the system that has been oppressing them for a long time, and they need Rajoelina to go. And the protests are now even bigger. And therefore, we are moments away from a breaking news where Andry Rajoelina, the president of Madagascar, might resign, a son of the system. This is big. Let's see how it goes.
Not yet Uhuru. I will not yet Uhuru. And the reason why Africa is far from being free is because of these old political leaders and greedy, corrupt leaders. I am very proud of what has happened in Madagascar. For the past 2 weeks, the youth led a protest because of water cuts, electricity cuts. 75% of its population lives below the poverty line. They are fed up. Went protested. The government probably thought, they're just making noise as per usual, they'll stop. The youth said, you watch and learn. They did not stop. They fought hard until the president announced that he is dissolving the government, which is a great move. I mean, it's great progress. Small, but at least. Promised them that he wants a dialogue with the youth. But in South Africa, we had a similar dialogue. It was a mess. Our president asked us, why don't you ask yourself why you are unemployed? Ask yourself why the infrastructure is there. Ask yourself why you don't have water. So I hope this leads to solutions and the betterment of the country and its people at large. Now, I'm so glad to see more and more youth participating in such things, because honestly, the youth tends to shy away from anything that has to do with politics. Abanya will probably say, but there's not going to be change. But imagine if our grandparents who participated in the liberation of our country had the same attitude. Where would we be? What type of life would we be leading? Now, we need to think beyond the now. We need to participate in such things and be very intentional with these things, because then what type of future will our children and their children have if we just sit back, lay back, and allow and watch these people sell out our minerals, our countries, and it's really, really time for us. Also, what happened to the march, the protest on the 24th of September 2025 in South Africa? Now we're watching the Madlanga Commission. We're watching people who spend 2 billion. But some of them are still out in the streets roaming, living their best lives. And then some will say we're not angry enough. Really, South Africa, what will it take for the youth to actually do something? And also, what is happening with the youth divisions in each and every political party that is on the ballot paper? Because each and every organization has that division, yeah? What are they doing? I think they're too relaxed. I'm a women's league. What is happening? What is going on? And for those that do not know, Madagascar is in the southeast of Africa.
This what happened in Madagascar on September 26. So for years, even decades now, the Malagasy people have been experiencing a whole bunch of power cuts and water shortages. I know this myself because when I live in Madagascar, I used to go whole mornings or afternoons without electricity and sometimes whole weekends without running water. Now, being tired of this, the youth, the civil rights groups, and students decided to plan a peaceful protest in Madagascar's capital, Antananarivo. Now, the plan was to gather together with their homemade posters and banners and to simply ask for their basic human rights. This was done in a very peaceful manner. However, they were met with hundreds of policemen in town who used tear gas and rubber bullets against them, which turned things very violent, harming many protesters. Meanwhile, some people decided to take advantage of the situation to vandalize and loot shops, malls, and restaurants, damaging many businesses. Many noticed that the policemen did nothing to stop this, and this fueled suspicion among the population that the government was allowing this violence to discredit the peaceful protests. Now, for my own safety, I will not be agreeing nor disagreeing with these suspicions, but the truth is clear. The Malagasy people are denied of our human rights, which are water and electricity, and the youth peacefully asked for these human rights, and they were met with violence. So if you want to support us, you can follow at Gen_Z_Madagascar on Instagram. There are also many other TikTok pages that are posting updates on this. You can interact on this video and other types of videos speaking up on this topic so that more people can see. The people that are speaking out against this, especially the Malagasys, myself included, are quite literally putting themselves in danger. So I would appreciate all the support that you can give us. Thank you so much.
They are the largest demonstrations the island nation has seen in years. Inspired by Gen Z protests in Kenya, Nepal and Peru, demonstrators blame the government of President Rajoelina for not improving conditions since he was re-elected in 2023.
They say we are a TikTok generation, a generation of idiots, and when we rise up, they don't let us speak out about the country's problems. A message for you, Mr. Andrew Rajoelina. When you led the protest, they let you do it. It was okay, but when we young people fight for the country, you stop us.
And many are now calling for his resignation.
16 years in power, we've given him chance after chance. He makes us drunken promises. All he cares about is himself and his own family. Meanwhile, here we are dying of starvation.
I don't know for how long African countries have to be suffering like this. I personally feel so bad for what is going on in Madagascar, but the same thing going on in Madagascar is going through in each and every African country with no exception. So, Gen Z youths from Madagascar have decided to revolt this time around. Yes, they are sick and tired of everything that is going on, the bad governance and all, right? Water shortages, food shortages, electricity shortages, and all of these things that need to be a necessity for the people to a point where lives were lost at some point. So the people of Madagascar said they can't take this anymore and they need to revolt. They hit the streets, they did what they did, and most importantly, they got inspired from what the Gen Zs in Kenya did. Remember that the Gen Zs in Nepal as well gave props to Kenya while they were out there, demonstrating for a better government. And I love it because their government listened to the people, in as much as it is some sort of extreme edge, some sort of forced, but at least they still went ahead to follow suit with what the population wants. This is sad, but then again, courage to every person from Madagascar out there. Big ups to Kenya, because Kenyans have really put that blueprint in so many Africans and opened the eyes of so many Africans on how things need to be done when you need them to be done in your country. Big ups to Kenya. It's sad, but at the same time amazing. What do you guys think about this?
As I always tell my subscribers, there is this rule there is this law called the law of will. I read in certain book, it says, that unless there is will to change Africa, there will be no change in Africa. So for change to happen in Africa, there must be a will of changing the things that are happening in Africa. Aging politicians should go home. These politicians that have served more than 2 terms and have not done anything for African countries should all go home. These corrupt leaders should all go home. This young generation that have been educated enough to understand a corrupt country and a performing country like Burkina Faso are now the real revolution. You've seen what is happening. The Nepalese people, the other day, they dissolved the whole government and now Nepal is running smoothly. And in the next coming years or so, you will start hearing that Nepal has certainly grown. Peru, you've now seen Burkina Faso. Was it not for the military coup that happened in Burkina Faso under Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso people will still be suffering. Now Burkina Faso have developed. All this because the people of Burkina Faso accepted change, the will to change Africa and the will to change their country. Now the people of Madagascar have seen this president, Andri, is not doing anything for them. A matter of fact, water and electricity should be among the first priorities in a country, not to mention health, education, transport. You see, because this water and electricity are some basic needs that people require in day-to-day life. If there is no electricity, imagine losing electricity for more than 12 hours. That is to say, hospitals are not running, companies are not running, factories are not producing products for the people to consume, the people are not, there is blackout in the whole country, no information, no nothing. And at the same time, you've seen that the people of Madagascar, especially the Gen Zs, they have been killed, 22 of them, because they demand revolution. This is a thing that you've seen in certain country that demands change. Like in my home country, Kenya, we see a lot of the Gen Zs were killed during 2024 and 2025 June 25th protest. And the matter of fact, that lady has said that the shop were being looted and the police were doing nothing. This behavior, the police from Madagascar saw this behavior happening in Kenya. So they want to tarnish the name of the peaceful protesters by hiring goons so that they can loot and steal people's property, broke into supermarkets and hotels, restaurants, shops, and steal all the commodities and goods so that the protest might seem violence to give them the way forward to shoot these Gen Zs. But that is not actually true. These are the things that are happening in Kenya. We've seen them. The police are choreographing themselves and hiring goons. And now Madagascar have joined the trend. But well enough or good enough is that the Gen Zs of Madagascar really know the trend. And they won't stop at anything until revolution comes in Madagascar. So unless there is will to change Africa, there will be no change in Africa. And change in Africa to occur, we must do it country by country by country by country. Congratulations to the Gen Zs of Madagascar. Welcome to the revolution. No more resting until revolution is done. Your interest comes first and all the sovereign power belongs to the people. Subscribe, guys. Tell me what you think about the revolution in Madagascar and see you in our next episode.